Hey everyone, it's Gina here, one of the community managers for ESO, and it's only me by myself today. Jess is out on PTO. She's celebrating the birthday of her, I was going to say baby, but she just turned 2 years old already. I can't believe it. So happy birthday to Jess's daughter. She's taking well-deserved time off to be with her today. Anyway, so let's get into the show schedule for today. This feels really weird. Like, remember in Wayne's World when Wayne left the set and then like Garth was by himself? That's what I feel like is happening right now. So welcome. Thanks for joining us today on ESO Live. We have lots of lovely lore with Lawrence and Lehman. It's L Alliteration Day today. So we're going to start off with some news with me. You're stuck with me for news. Then we're going to get into the Clockwork City lore with our lead lore master, Lawrence Schick, and senior writer Lehman Tuttle, who was literally just promoted to senior writer yesterday. Yeah. So, congrats, Lehman. And as always, we will be doing a giveaway sometime during the show, so stay tuned. God, this feels weird. It's just so weird. All right, so let's start off with Fatal Freedus. That is our version of Friday the 13th. It's today, obviously, and we had two special 24-hour limited time offers in the Crown Store today. It's the Great Dark Stag and the Dire Pony Pet. These are only available until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, Eastern time. So be sure and pick that up if you're interested. They're really cool. The pony especially, it does this crazy thing with its eyes where, like, they'll glow, I think, if you're not watching him, but then when you turn around, they stop glowing or something like that, right? Something like that. Anyway, and then we also have the Shadow Ghost Guar mount, which is available until, I believe, Monday next week. Don't quote me on that. Check the forum thread, check the website. That's available right now. We know a lot of people have been asking about Witches Festival. I know the Witches Festival Tamrielic holiday started today, but in-game, it actually doesn't start until next Friday. So Witches Festival, the in-game event will begin Friday, November 20th, and it'll run until November 1st.
October.
What did I say?
November.
October 20th. See, this is why you need, here, this is my co-host right here. October 20th until November 1st. And we will be posting an article next Monday detailing everything that's going on in the in-game event, everything that you can get. Double XP is happening again. Stay tuned. It's coming on Monday. What else? TwitchCon is next week if you're going to be attending or if you live in the Long Beach area. Some of us will be there. We'll be attending the Developer Day on Thursday. We'll be attending the convention on Friday, just kind of walking around, attending panels, meeting some people. So if you see us, please stop and say hello. We're also having a Bethesda Online Games meetup on Saturday at noon. Now, if you haven't RSVP'd yet, I mean, you might be a little SOL there because we closed the RSVPs, but if you're at TwitchCon, we will have a few physical invites. So be on the lookout for us. We'll be wandering around. It'll be myself. Jess will be there. Rich Lambert will be there for the meetup. I don't think he'll be there on Friday, though. Brian Wheeler will be wandering around, so keep an eye out. We'll be there, and it'll be a lot of fun. So Monday is the final PTS patch until we launch Clockwork City. Now, if you missed it, we are launching Clockwork on PC and Mac on October 23rd, not November. And then console is launching November 7th. Now, wanted to give you a small peek at some of the fixes that are going in to that patch. You know what? You guys probably want to hear about gameplay stuff. So we're going to skip down. I literally just got these. Forgive me as I kind of just sit here and read. All right, so the last PTS patch traditionally is a little bit smaller because we're kind of prepping for the patch to go live on the live mega servers. So we try not to put too much stuff in because basically what happens is the more stuff you put in, the more likely it is that stuff is going to get messed up. So we try and just kind of keep it to the essentials. So there's not a whole lot of balance changes, but there are some, and wanted to tell you guys about it. Crystal shards and crystal frags, we did mention this on the forums. These are still going to be changed, and it'll be coming in Monday's patch. We're making it so it no longer stuns the enemy that's hit, but Crystal Blast will still continue to stun the enemy. Rune Prison, we're slightly increasing the cost of that ability and its morphs. For weapons, we are also slightly increasing the cost of Shield Wall, that's the one-hand and shield ability, and one of the Restoration Staff abilities, and then also Scatter Shot, the bow ability. We're making it so that no longer applies a 5-second stun, sorry, a 5-second disorient to enemies. Instead, it's going to apply the stun. And there'll be dev comments and all that for this, but I'm just the reader. So. And then heavy armor, we're making some changes to that. So Wrath, that current passive ability, we're replacing it with something called Revitalize, which increases the resources that the heavy attacks restore. And then we're making some changes to Rapid Mending also, since all of that is being moved over to Revitalize. So again, dev comments will be aplenty. You will not be required to reallocate passive points into Wrath because of this change. It'll just automatically happen. And then we have some fixes going in for Petrify, for Eclipse. We're fixing an issue where you could still cast that ability to an immune enemy. And for item sets, sorry, I know I'm kind of just like reading, but just trying to read here. Merciless Charge, we are increasing the damage that that item set does. And we're fixing an issue with Timeless Blessing. So that will do it for the gameplay changes that are going into Monday's PTS patch. It's likely that you'll see a few more things going in once we go live. Now, I don't know if it's going to be balanced stuff. I don't know if it's going to be just bug fixes. But if it ends up being balance changes before we go live, we'll try and post those on the forums ahead of time so you're not surprised by it when we publish the patch notes. We know we did that last time. That was my bad. We won't do it again. One more thing I want to call out. For dungeons, we are changing it so the minimum level for normal difficulty dungeons are going to be level 45, and that's for the purposes of using the Dungeon Finder. That's not every dungeon. It's a list of maybe, I don't know, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, maybe 12, 14 normal dungeons. And then we're also adjusting the minimum level for some of the veteran difficulty dungeons to CP 160, again, for the purposes of using the Dungeon Finder. So that way, hopefully, you know, if you're a level 48 or something and then you get a level, I don't know, 12 joining you, that's not going to happen anymore. And I believe White Gold Tower is one of them. Yes. White Gold, Imperial City Prison. We know we see you guys all the time saying, like, why is there like a level 20 in here? So that's not going to happen anymore. All right, moving on. I just checked chat and I saw somebody say this is great. So, okay, good. Kind of trying to do double duty here a little bit. So let's get into the lore segment. We're going to be discussing lore about Clockwork City today with our lore master, Lawrence Schick, and then senior writer, Lehman Tuttle, formerly known as writer-designer Lehman Tuttle. He literally just got promoted yesterday, so when we posted the show schedule, he was still technically writer-designer, but now he's not. So we're going to have a short little game for you guys. We want you to decide which Fez Lawrence is going to wear. Right?
So yes, we've got the ever popular Death Monkey Fez. We've got the offensively bogus Hammerfell Fez. And in honor of the miniature Clockwork City, we have the miniature Fez modeled here by our plush Iguar.
All right, so I couldn't figure out how to set up a poll in the 5 minutes that we had to get ready. So
everybody just shout.
Everyone just starts shouting in chat, and then I'll kind of just see what seems to be
what could go wrong.
Go Death
more
Monkey.
often. I see a lot of monkey.
You're doing it right.
I see a lot of death.
Those are the same.
See some minis.
Death and monkey are the same.
Oh man, I think it's between the death and the miniature. Oh, it's close, you guys. I don't know. I don't know.
I think you always side on monkeys when it comes to...
I think we're going to have to go with The problem is they both begin with M, and my poor eyes, it's just going so fast. I'm like, let's switch. How about that? Start off with monkey, finish with miniature.
All right.
There you go.
I'm donning the Death Monkey Fez. Thank you.
That's how we're going to begin.
Thank you,
And
Elder
also-
Scrolls aficionados, for your guidance. There.
Beautiful.
Now I'm ready to lore.
We're ready. So while we're going through lore with Lawrence and Lehman, we have one of our QA testers here, Sam, who's going to be playing through Clockwork City content, just kind of give you something to watch while we're chatting about some lore. So she's starting from the beginning, close to the beginning, beginning-ish of Clockwork City. And you could just kind of watch her go through some quests.
She's in
while we do
Mournhold.
this. Oh, you're not even in Clockwork yet.
This is where you start things
This
off.
is where it's happening. So we saw, I know last time you were on the show, Lehman, we talked a little bit about what is Clockwork City and what's with this miniature thing and what's going on and where is it. For anyone who missed the show, do you want to just kind of touch on that one more time?
Yeah, I mean, I would toss it to Lawrence. It's a complex thing. I know there was a lot of controversy about what exactly we meant by what we were talking about, so take it away, Lawrence.
So the Clockwork City is the Clockwork God Sothasil's experimental miniature recapitulation of the entire Mundus in one small, apparently small, container, and it's built in order to both imitate and recapitulate the world above, and it's somewhere beneath Tamriel. In the way you get to it in the game, is through an entrance that is near Mournhold in Morrowind. But where it is actually is it's as deep as it's possible to be and still be in Tamriel. So it's actually the same distance from everywhere, and it is both tiny and at the same time an entire world unto itself. So once you get into it, it feels vast, and in fact it is vast. At the same time, it's tiny. so both of these things are true, and they're not contradictory.
Not at all.
And inside you will find that Sothasil has built mechanical replicas of various aspects of the world above, which are being used in experiments by his Clockwork Apostles to test out his various theories on how the world, which was created originally, of course, by the Daedra when they sacrificed themselves to become the Earthbones. When they created the world, it was, in the opinion of Sothasil, a flawed creation. And he is looking for ways whereby it can be perfected.
Does the city ever move?
The city doesn't need to move. It's exactly where it needs to be at all times.
It's exactly in the middle of everything.
So, there have been various statements in lore about where it is located, but really that's more about ways to get to it rather than where it can be found. So, where it is really it's in a more metaphorical location than physical, really. So, because it's a metaphor made manifest. It's both a reality and a replication of reality at the same time. There, that's clear, isn't it?
That sounds great.
Perfectly.
All right.
I completely understand now. So I know when we started up the forum thread after we posted the schedule, we were asking people for questions. And a lot of the questions seem to be focused on Sothasil, asking about what his deal is, his background, all sorts of things. So we can get into those questions in a little bit, but just to kind of start off, do you want to talk a little bit about Sothasil? Because this is pretty cool that he's in here.
Yeah, I'll lead off. everybody is familiar at this point with Noveck, because of course you've all played through Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind, and so you've met Noveck in all his poet warrior glory. And he, of course, is garrulous and speaks for himself, and he's got plenty to say. But Sothasil is mysterious and lets his acts speak for him. And his works are mainly interpreted by others. His Clockwork Apostles and their leaders, the tourbillons. And I'll let
that is a very nice French word there.
I'll let Lehman speak about that because he is the interpreter of the sermons of Sothasil.
Thanks. Yeah. So, like Lawrence said, Sothasil is he's mysterious. He very rarely speaks. So what we get is what is written by his tourbillons. So most of it is through his sermons, which are titled "The Truth in Sequence." So there are 12 of those by a Clockwork Apostle named Deldris Morvain. And so, in terms of, we can only really know what the apostles tell us. So, according to the Truth in Sequence, Sothasil is interested in repairing, like Lawrence said, the Errata's various mistakes. So, taking Tamriel apart and putting it back together again correctly into what's called the Tamriel Final. So he's very clearly interested in perfection, or at least fixing things that he perceives as broken. And how he goes about doing that is sometimes beautiful and sometimes terrifying. And he's a complex guy.
Off topic, but what is your character wearing, Sam? Is that the polymorph?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, so you have a chance to get this polymorph when you complete, is it just the veteran hard mode of the new trial? I think that's what it is. I know Finn's in chat, and if I'm wrong, he'll definitely call me out. But yeah, that thing is pretty cool.
And that polymorph is an image of one of Sothasil's factotums, which are the humanoids, constructs that he has built in order to fulfill some of his experimental needs where the Clockwork Apostles and others do not. And also they do a lot of the work, a lot of the grunt work around Clockwork City. You want to talk a little bit about the factotums?
Sure. So, like Lawrence said, factotums are humanoid servitors, basically. They all speak with one voice. They all they're always working on something in the city. The nature of where they came from, how they're constructed, is kind of a mystery, even to the apostles. And in fact, it's something that they're almost encouraged to not look into. But of course, the Clockwork Apostles, one of their major mandates, according to the Truth in Sequence, is to be a little heretical, to be a little blasphemous every now and then, because that's how you really figure things out. So a few people believe that the factotums, their voice was modeled on someone Sothasil used to know way back in the day before he ascended to godhood. But it's really anybody's guess as to what their exact nature is, because of course Sothasil is not talking.
Except that if you go all the way through the main quest line in the Clockwork City DLC, you will have the very rare and very special opportunity to speak with Sothasil himself.
Yep.
And hear what he has to say in answer to your questions, not interpreted by others, but direct from the mouth of the Tribune, the most mysterious of the three Tribunes.
And it's very possible that the things that he tells you might not line up exactly with the Truth in Sequence. So it's worth talking to him.
Great. Did you guys want to answer some questions
Sure.
that were posted on the forums?
Sure. If I'm going to answer questions,
Oh,
I'm
we
going
have to put on your Q&A, Fez.
Yep.
Mini Fez.
Let me put on my miniature Clockwork Fez.
I'm Fezless. Sorry, guys.
This is happening. Oh my gosh. Oh, remember somebody was asking earlier if you could do a thinking face
A
for them.
thinking face.
Oh no!
wow.
Oh no!
I got
Now
it.
you might have
I
to
got
go
it.
the other one.
How's this?
Meme it.
That's Lehman's thinking face. He's just like, whatever.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you. I forget who asked for that. But they were asking, for a friend. All right. So we were just talking about fabricants.
Factotum.
Factotum.
Or I'm sorry, factotum. I'm still over there. Since Jesus Christ. You know what? This happens every Friday where it's like, oh, it's Friday afternoon. There goes my brain. There it goes.
It was our mistake for making similar things with similar names.
You know,
It's on
when you
us.
start things with the same letter, my brain just implodes. Since fabricants need to eat, what are they feeding off of when they aren't eating adventurers or the oddball apostle? Doesn't seem like there's enough adventurers in the world to feed all of them.
Who says they need to eat? What if they don't? Fabricants are created to, the ones that you see most often, are created to resemble predatory creatures. And predatory creatures, by their nature, must prey. And so that's what they do. They follow their natures that they have been created to follow. But do they need to? Or are they just enacting their functions?
Insert thinking face here.
Yeah.
So, white coat syndrome, he had a lot of questions, or she, I apologize, on the forums, and some of them were really good. So here's another one, actually kind of interesting. He was saying most of the people in Clockwork seem to be at least above magical and or tech ability, and everyone seems to hate the nutrient paste for being boring. Illusion magic exists, so if there's a spell to make someone think you're a friend, why isn't there a spell to make someone think the paste tastes like scrib jelly?
You want to take this one?
Sure. So, I mean, first to start off, the Clockwork Apostles would probably tell you that illusion magic is profane, and they don't want it in the city. So the seal is interested in truth and, finding the absolute facts of things. So creating an illusion is a ridiculous thing to even consider. Also, there's the very real possibility that so the seal that makes it so they have to taste it that way. The Clockwork City in many respects kind of is Sothasiel, and there's no guarantee that any magic that an apostle or someone else might be able to use could actually change the taste of the paste if he doesn't want them to.
And he just may darn well be interested in finding out what happens when you feed Clockwork Apostles tasteless paste for decades on end.
Yep.
You know, that might be part of his grand master plan.
You know what? Maybe some people enjoy the taste of nutrient paste.
I'm
like
sure somebody does.
I like boring and bland food. I don't like spice. I mean, I just had green beans for lunch, and everyone's like, green beans, why are you eating that? I like it.
That's a really good question. Why are you eating that?
I liked them. They were seasoned nice with some garlic and some shallots. Anyway, moving on. Sothasiel appears to have replaced an arm with metal. What was his original reason for doing so? Was it injury? Was he just trying to improve himself? Something else?
Well, if you could replace your arm with a metal arm, wouldn't you do it?
I would.
You know, there could be more than that.
Sure. So, according to Truth and Sequence, in the 12th sermon, it's heavily implied that where Tamriel Final is headed is actually a synthesis of what is organic and what is not organic into a unified whole. So, it would make sense for him to kind of embody that idea.
And as you go to the Clockwork City and you start to meet various Clockwork Apostles, you find that many of them have one or more parts of their bodies that have been replaced with mechanical simulations of those body parts. And for them to replace the flawed biological parts that the Ada designed with a perfect part that was designed by their master Sothasiel, this is really an expression of faith and their devotion to their master. So you will see Clockwork Apostles and to some extent, the number of replacements that they have is a clue to how much influence they have in the Brass Fortress in the Clockwork City.
So for anyone just tuning in, we're playing through Clockwork City content, just random quests that you'll find in Clockwork City. It's launching on PC and Mac in about 2 weeks now, on the 23rd. Lehman, somebody in chat was asking, what do you do here? Like, what do you do as a senior writer? Like, are you writing quests?
Senior writer writes. No, I was fortunate enough to be the primary writer on the Clockwork City, so that allowed me to kind of have my fingers in all the various objectives, and I also did the writing for the actual main quest itself, and a lot of the books that kind of go along with that.
He writes seniorly. Thanks, Finn.
Yeah, so the writer is responsible not just for all of the player-facing text that you may see on screen in various capacities, such as the names of characters and the dialogue and the lore books that you read. But the writer is also embedded in the team that builds the content area, and they work very closely with the content designers and the encounter designers and the world builders all together to make sure that the themes of that we're trying to get across are embedded in all of the content in all the ways that you can dramatically do so. So it's more than just the words. It's the story and the themes and the characters and the emotional aspects of the world that you're immersing yourself in. That is all part and parcel of the writer-designer's responsibility.
What he said.
That's what he does. All that. All right, so here's another question. Maybe minor spoiler. There's a lot of crows of the Blackfeather Court, right? Mm-hmm.
Spoiler.
They might talk. Are these technically counted as Daedra?
Absolutely.
Of course. If you've been to the demi-plane of Crowswood, which you can visit from, it's not Deshawn, it's in Davin's Watch. Mm-hmm. That is a Daedric demi-plane where it's very similar to these crows, mm-hmm. And yes, they are Daedra in the form of birds.
Of course, they might not agree with that. They probably would tell you that no, they're crows, and you're ridiculous for asking.
Yeah, shut up.
Santa Claus on the forums was asking why there appears to be no tavern in Slagtown itself. I mean, don't the poorest of the poor deserve to drown their woes in cheap ale?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them hang out in the Outlaws Refuge, so there's probably some places to revel in there.
Plenty of swill available at the Outlaws Refuge.
Exactly. But, I mean, when you're a subsistence trash wrangler and you're trying to, make your way, you might not have as much time to goof around as other people.
New arrivals must secure an endorsement from
Oh, let's see. What kind of metal does Sithacil use?
He uses every kind of metal. And some that are unknown to magic or science elsewhere. He is a master of all materials.
There you have it.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
All of them.
Yeah.
Remember all of this?
It's
the theme for this update.
Yeah. His city is the Brass Fortress, so things tend to look brassy and bronzy and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
Seen a lot of questions asking people, why is he so damn tall? Like, he's a tall dude.
If you could be that tall, wouldn't you?
Of course.
All right, then.
Noveck floats around and glows, I mean, they've all got their
right?
quirks.
Elmar on the forums was asking, there's various sources saying that black soul gems were discovered by various other people, like maybe Manamarco. Who did invent the black soul, or the soul gems? Was it Sithacil or Manamarco, or maybe even somebody else?
Well, black soul gems in Elder Scrolls, they're a magical technology, right? So they can be invented or discovered or created repeatedly. It's just a way that things work. And who invented and created them first, you're going to have several claimants to that probably. But They are a way of manipulating animuses and magicka, given the magical technology of Tamriel. And so there's more than one origin they could have come from.
Do you think Sothasil gets tired of people asking him if he plays basketball because he's so tall?
How's the weather up there?
Yeah.
Clockwork God?
I know my husband being, God, what is he, like 6'6" or something?
He's huge, man. He's a Sasquatch.
He's somewhere between maybe like 6'5" and 9 feet tall. He definitely gets tired of people asking, hey, you play basketball? No. What else do we have here? Are the factotum bards crappily playing songs off key and wheezy for the flute? Is that Sothasil's idea of some kind of joke?
Everything that happens in the Clockwork City is a direct manifestation of what he wills. So it follows that probably he wants those factotums to play really bad music.
There's something meaningful there, something significant. It's up to you to tease out that meaning and significance.
Did you do those noises?
I helped.
I'm asking the audio guy here. He said he did help. What did you use for it?
We had someone play the flute.
Poorly.
Was it Becky? I remember. We talked about this. I remember now. Yeah, Becky was on the show not too long ago, and yeah, apparently she was the crappy flute player. So there you have it.
She's our audio factotum.
Let's see. What else do we have? The factotums created by Sothasil, do they contain any internal power source?
Yes. So most of the ambulatory simulacra, the robots, they run off of something called an animo core, which is a device that is filled with something called geodic distillate, which is basically soul geodes that have been ground up into a slurry and then put into these capsules, and they power many of the machines there.
Got it?
There you go.
Yeah.
That guy kind of eats his food like my daughter does. I'm just going to put my whole hand in this. Oh, you know what we haven't done is our giveaway yet.
What are we giving away?
We will be giving away your choice of either the Great Dark Stag or the Dire Pony Pet.
Oh, man. That's
limited time for today only. So if you already own one, you can get the other. It's your choice. Somebody was asking if, where was the question? If the Clockwork City is some sort of parallel universe and if it's endless.
Something about abject poverty and
It's a toughie, huh?
Kind of. It's kind. Both the answer to both those questions is kind of. Yeah. It's in fact it's a deliberately parallel universe in that it deliberately parallels Tamriel above, what was the second part? It was
if it's endless.
Is it endless? You don't see nearly all of it from what you can see in the game. It has layers, and only Sothasil knows the full extent of those layers and what the function of some of the other areas are. Samantha, can you just kind of lean back and look up at the sky for a moment? Look up there. Look
That's
at
awesome.
Look at those whirling rings spinning around the world of the Clockwork City. That is the outside of the Clockwork City, or maybe not. That's just what you can see from the Brass Fortress, and you can see that Sothasil has taken the concept of wheels within wheels and worlds within worlds and made it physically manifest right over your head, so that you're constantly contemplating the fact that the world is a built thing, and therefore it can be reverse engineered, re-engineered, and improved. Look, there's the proof right above your head. So yeah, it's profound as hell. God damn, this stuff is deep.
Profound AF. All right, so everyone in chat got super excited when we said the word giveaway, but I didn't even put in a keyword or anything yet. So you guys are just saying stag for nothing. I mean, I guess you can say it for fun, but Haven't started yet. What, gosh, what should the keyword be? What do you think? I like your shirt, by the way.
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Cap, man.
Let's do something easy. How about just lore? All right. That means all of you that have been saying stag this whole time, you're not entered in anything. You have to.
Harsh.
Keyword is lore, because that's what we're talking about today. Is Clockwork City lore? Let's find another question. We have a bunch here. Here's one from Lone Wolf. He was asking, or she, my apologies. With all these murderous shadows running about, it gives one with claws pause. What is the most efficient way to dispatch a shadow? And if one were to fight their own shadow and win, would that mean you still lose? Insert thinking
Speaking
face.
of deep stuff, man.
Right? I know.
No, so it's established pretty early on that in destroying your shadow, you've destroyed some kind of vital aspect of your animus in doing so, and you actually lose power. So yes, if you outright
That
kill
sucks.
your shadow, that's bad news. You don't want to do that. If you're able to subdue it and you're able to bring it back into yourself, then everything's good.
And it's another replication metaphor. Here's another thing where an aspect of reality has been duplicated, and that it can be affected thereby. It actually is a parallel to what Sothasil is doing with the world, to whatever is going on with the shadows, which, by the way, is a threat to. That's enough.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? Everything's a threat. Another question. This was actually one of the first questions we got. Why are there no Khajiit or Argonian apostles?
Aren't there?
Do the thinking pose.
You know, we're getting so much mileage out of it. It's great. All right, so we'll let the giveaway run for just a little bit longer. Again, the keyword is lore. We're giving you a chance to win either the Dire Pony pet or the Great Dark Stag mount. Both available only until tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So one more question until we pick a winner. Why did Sothasil design his memory storage after foreign gods? By which he means the constellations. The warrior, mage, and thief constellations.
You got to go on for that one.
Okay, well, if you think about it, it's not so much that these are references to the animated versions of the constellations that you meet in Craglorn, for example, but that the concept of constellations themselves, really, a constellation is a memory device. It's a way to think about that organization of stars and what does that represent, and how can you use that as a mnemonic. So constellations are actually in themselves a device for memory, and so using them is naturally was an application that occurred to Sothasil as a method of storing his own. It's kind of similar to the medieval memory mansion approach to storing memories, mentally by conceiving of this mansion that has different rooms, and you put different memories in different places in these different rooms. Sothasil needed the entire astronomical cosmos for his memories, so that's why he's chosen the star fields.
There you have it. Another wonderful answer. All right, let's see who's going to win today's giveaway. It is ESO our peer.
All right.
You just
Yay,
won
role
yourself
Right on.
either a pet or a mount. It will be your choice. I will shoot you a message probably after the show ends. A little wrapped up right now. All right. Are there any other questions? Anything you guys want to address?
I just want to say that that the Great Dark Stag is a wonderful mount, but the Dire Pony is really cool.
Oh, it's kind of badass. I like it.
It brought about one of my favorite bug reports from recent times, which was bug ESO Dire Pony not dire enough. we had to go back in and make it more dire. So you will find it as dire as you want, I think.
Somebody in chat was just saying in the prologue quest, which, by the way, should have mentioned that, you can play the prologue quest to Clockwork City now on all platforms. It is available. I think you just have to go into the Mages Guild, right?
Yeah, it starts in any Mages Guild.
So if you complete that, it'll kind of give you a taste of Clockwork City content. You'll get this really cool memento at the end where basically just, it's like this little miniature clockwork thing that appears.
Yeah,
it's really
Obscuros.
cool. An Obscuros.
The Obscuros.
My bad. So Sinbri in chat was asking, in the prologue quest, there's an NPC calling Sothasil a brother of Noveck. Are they actually blood related, or is it just a metaphor?
As far as I'm aware, it's just a metaphor.
It is, in fact. They refer to the tribunes refer to each other as brother and sister, but yes, it's a metaphorical relationship rather than.
It'd be like if I saw Sam walking down the hall and I'm like, "Hey, sister, how's it going?" Like we're not
Exactly.
actually sisters.
Exactly.
And I mean,
right.
they are kind of family in that they're all unified by the power of the Heart of Lorcan. I mean, that binds them together in a very real magical sense. So.
Quite so.
Great. All right. Well, just a reminder that Witches Festival, even though the Tamrielic holiday began today, our in-game event will start next Friday, I believe at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, and it'll run until November 1st.
So spooky.
Spooky. Wait, you didn't do like a chant or anything today. I'm almost disappointed, but kind of relieved. Actually, very relieved. All right, so I think we're going to wrap up now. See, that when I start tapping my papers like that, that means we're wrapping up. That's the key. So thanks, Sam, for running through content. Again, this is available on PTS, on PC, and it'll be launching on PC on the 23rd. Console is November 7th. And thank you both for talking about Clockwork lore. It's very
a pleasure
kind of
to sit in with you
mysterious.
as always, Gina.
Thank you. We will be seeing you guys in 2 weeks. We will be back on Twitch. And again, if you're at TwitchCon next week, some of us will be there. So be sure and track us down and say hello. We are friendly folks who love to chat. Most of the time. We're mostly friendly.
They role play friendly.
I put on my happy polymorph. So everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
And between now and then, we'll see you around Tamriel.
That's right, what he said.